perfect day for a farm tour. And I'm calling this the ironic farm tour because the day after Valentine's Day, everything bloomed. So, would you look at that timing? Anyway, let's head out. We actually have some flowers. We've got some cosmos, which is amazing. We've got dahlias. And we've got an entire row of zinnias. We have been picking the dahlias, so it's a little bit hard to see. But Red Alert is here. She's very cute. And then we've got First Prize, which I love. Beautiful in bouquets. She gets a really big ball head on her. And Hotshot has not flowered yet, but very, very close. And then I've got a couple of extras here and my cucumbers. But look at this pretty one. I'm not even sure what this is. We left a tuber in the ground. It could have even been something from seed. Very pretty. We've got this whole row. These are kind of dahlias I love. My plan is to curate a collection of dahlia tubers that are wonderful to use in a bouquet. And they're the ones that we will plant, and then I'll just buy a few every season just to try to build on that collection. And then this row over here are the ones that I don't want to lose, but I also don't use them in bouquets very much because they're not very good in bouquets. Like Nael, she is really pretty, but very, very short vase life. And Mexico's here, we've picked everything off it. It's the same, very short vase life. Anyway, we've got sunflowers. They haven't bloomed yet, but they are getting very close to it. Then I do actually have a couple of cosmos plants. They did not get cosmos virus, the curly top virus, which was amazing. And one has started flowering, it's the deep red one. So at least I'll have something. Our status, flowered, literally was ready to pick the day after Valentine's Day. And it is real pretty. Wish we had a little bit more of it, but we will work on that for next season. The Gomphrena, which you saw me pick for Valentine's Day, but it just keeps getting longer and longer, and it keeps blooming, and it is amazing. I love it. I know it can be a little bit tedious to pick, but I do think it's worth it because it's got an extraordinarily long vase life, and it just adds that little pop of color to keep your eye moving around a bouquet, which I really love to do. So I'm happy with it. We're putting more colors in next season. This plot here ends up in shade for most of winter, and we're about to head into spring, into autumn or fall. So we aren't really putting much else in here that needs sun. We can do very fast crops like sunflowers, and that's about it. Got a little bit of the orange Bright Lights Cosmos. As I've mentioned before, this one's actually edible. There's a dog. Must be the neighbour's dog. We have a lovely weed tree here, Achillea, which, I don't know, it's okay. I don't love it, I don't not like it. We will put more of it in because it is handy to have. This is where I had all of the little first year ranunculus, the ones I'd grown from seed. And if you remember back, this is the plot that got completely flooded, like sheets of water just went across it. And we think they've rotted out. So I think I've lost an entire row of ranunculus. We think they were going to be beautiful producers for next year, which I've now got to start again on. This is Celosia. It's the red one. And we put it in the hopes that we had a late season and it stayed hot enough for us to harvest this for Mother's Day. That is unlikely, but considering the season we've had at this point, I mean, we could plant anything. Tulips would probably pop up at this point. So we're just having a go and see what happens. These are marigolds. They're very fast growing, so we've popped them in. We might have them for Mother's Day. We've got basil here, but it's also got a lot of purslane, which, as I've mentioned, every time I see it, plants don't grow very well around purslane. The cut flower plants don't anyway. But Moroni does make an amazing vegan taco filling with this, and we will show you how to do that. I'll pop that up as just a little short midweek video at some point. But But yeah, we've got basil all along this row. This row is that test plot of the feverfew. So it's been in for coming up to 2 years. I think it's 2 years. We just keep cutting it back and letting it keep going, and it just keeps going. It's just, if you've got the room to do it, it's fine, but it does take some time between harvests. It does take some time, but it is much quicker than waiting for a new seedlings to start. So I don't know, we're just leaving it here. We'll just get it through another winter and see what happens. This row needs fixing up. It's got some sunflowers that are about to bloom. They're very close, but this was the row that the rabbits ate. So this was absolutely full of sunflowers, but then the rabbits came along and nipped all the tops off. You can see where they've started to reshoot. They're just branching off now, but they'll be no good. They're too short now. So that's that. This is another row of sunflowers. We're just putting successions in now. We'll do that right up until the end of, I think we did them till mid-April last time. We actually were picking sunflowers in the middle of June. So we will just keep planting them because you just don't know when that frost is coming. This row is the feverfew we've just finished picking. Dara. I actually really don't like it, but it was handy to have for Valentine's Day because we didn't have anything else. But it's going to start throwing its seed everywhere and I don't want it to. Bells of Ireland, completely dead now. This row's just got to be cleaned out. If you remember, the bells got a virus. And these are the snaps, which have just died off. They're going to seed, but I won't collect the seed from those plants because they're not amazing plants. And I don't really want to replicate something that's not amazing. Sea holly, which I did not pick at all in time. I basically left it for the bees. They loved it. I just need to come along, snip it all out, clean this row up. And I think we're just going to fill this row up with sea holly. But in saying that, sea holly isn't a huge seller for us. If it's mixed in a bouquet among other things, sometimes people are surprised by it and they like it. They're like, oh, look at that. But it's so spiky. And by itself, nobody goes for it. So I'm not sure I want to waste too much space on it, but it is something nice to have a row of because the pollinators absolutely love it. Okay, over the back here we have our chrysanthemums growing. And I've got a pumpkin vine. Moroni popped that in for me. So it's just sitting there because it gets watered when other things get watered and it's very easy to manage. Our baby's breath, but the variety is the wrong variety. So it's usable, but it's not amazing. Of Machicaria, and it's beautiful, but it hasn't really developed massively long stems. And it could be because this is a new plot. The soil's not that great up here. And I'd say that has something to do with it. Now, my zinnias, look at this. Look at this. There is so many, and they're so pretty. A lot of them, I know it looks like I haven't been through to pick. That's going to make a liar out of me. But many of them have floppy heads still. That one doesn't. Well, last night when I came out, they had floppy heads and I couldn't pick them. But it now seems they've decided to harden up and now they're ready to pick. So the joys of farming, the plants call the shots, not the farmer. More sunflowers. This is my lilies. I need to come in. I've put the ones in the pots just on top of the bed so that everything was together. I just need to come through, dig them out, store them and tidy that up. The glads though, so if you can remember, something came through and ate the glads, the tops, that's why they look so bad. But they flowered still and they are still flowering. We've had such a mild summer. This is one of the Dame Edna ones. The red ones all flowered straight after Valentine's Day, of course. This summer has been very uncharacteristic. Not even just with all those weather events earlier and the very late start to summer, but also because we haven't had a day over 40 all summer, which is a bit unusual. We haven't had a heat wave and we have had cool nights. So we have had some hot days, like up to 37, 38. Not as hot as we're used to, but for us it's still pretty warm. But then the nights cooled down. And Moroni was telling me that what he learned at uni was the plants don't really love it when there's more than a 10 degree difference between the daytime and nighttime temperatures, and we've had, 20, 25 degrees difference between day and night temperatures. And I think that's another reason why the flowers have suffered, because they just have not had the conditions that they've needed. The soil has cooled down overnight. So, oh, excuse me, sorry. Kind of had asthma ever since Valentines. And then I got a chest infection, so that's how things went. For some plants, they really enjoy that. The glads, they love it. It's kept them going all summer, which normally they'd be finished by about end of December. Other plants, though, it's made them very slow, so it's really slowed down. Sorry. It's really slowed down the sunflowers. Things that like it hot, sunflowers, celosia, the dahlias, it slowed them down. And there's nothing we can do about it. To prepare for that for the future, we could grow everything in tunnels and try and control the temperature to keep it a bit more stable. That's obviously an expensive setup. An old feverfew row. It was freshly planted, but it just didn't flower very well, and we're sure it's because these beds, we just got stuff in. We didn't do too much to amend the soils this season. We just wanted to get the beds built, and we thought we'd use the space for this plot, but yeah, it worked out okay for some. Zinnias don't really care, and the glads didn't really care. The lilies also didn't care. Those bulb sort of plants have a lot of the nutrients in their bulb though. So they would have coped. It would have been better if they weren't in crappy soil, but they survived. And it turns out this season was really about survival. So they did well. And then we've got, I think these ones are, this is a different variety of sunflower, and I think it might be the Royal Velvet ones, the darker reddy ones. And I got some black ones off it last year, which were really good. We kind of feel like we're back on track, but also it's because we haven't spent time picking and stripping or doing any of that, because we haven't really had anything to pick. It's given Mo and I so much time to tidy things up. And the rows are neat and tidy. We're slowly getting them marked out permanently. We've decided this is how our flower farm is staying. We can extend up the back, but for now this is what we're going to keep. We've just got a little bit more to do with the star pickets, and we need to put a fence around the whole thing. We are pretty sure the fence, we're going to do it over winter out of pellets and do it like a not star picket, what do they call it? Like a picket fence around the whole thing. I like the look. If you can imagine that dodgy white net, a really cute, proper white picket fence, wouldn't that be cute? Something I wanted to mention was I am working on a newsletter, but it's become a bit of a production because I can't just be normal and do just a normal newsletter. No, I can't do that. Of course not. So I think it's going to be something that comes out 4 times a year, like once every season. But when you see it, it'll be worth the wait. So those of you that have signed up, I'm sorry nothing's come out yet. I am working on it, but I just got a bit extra with it. And to those who are interested, you can go to my website. I'll put a link in the description of this video. But you can go to our website, so it's www.nobleflowers.com.au, and there's a newsletter sign up thing on there. And we were talking last week about the cost of food, right? And I think we all feel, maybe not all of us, but if we're here, we like gardening. And I'm moving this veggie patch again because it's so disheartening to try to grow stuff with this grass. So one of the big changes for next season, and I'm actually starting it now, is we are going to grow our vegetables in amongst the flowers.
I'm off. Bye.
Good day, sir.
Thank you.
I've been flipping through this book by Lisa Mason Ziegler called Vegetables Love Flowers, and it's pretty much convinced me this is a good idea. This veggie patch is not working down there. I am wasting so much time. I need to just pull the whole thing down, return it back to lawn, and just let that stupid lawn do its thing there. Let it be. Let us just enjoy it as a lawn. And we don't have that horrible grass out in the field. This veggie garden saga has taken me 12 years to figure it out. Next year is the year, because now we've got our flower field where we want it, and now we work on the soil. We will have our vegetables and our flowers all out there together, and fingers crossed. We really, really hope this is going to work out. So now, welcome to Noble Flowers and Vegetables.